for a year. We made it. This is the 1 year anniversary of Make Your Day Richer. Listen, when I set out to do this show, the idea for this show popped in my head randomly one day. And like 2 months later, it started and we premiered on June 10th, 2024. And here we are. This is episode 251. So we've done 250 episodes in the last 365 days. And I can't even. This has been a dream of mine since I was 10 years old, since June 10th, 1996, when the Rosie O'Donnell show premiered. And I saw that show and I thought, I want to do that. I want a place that people want to come to and have fun and celebrate themselves and all the good in the world. And that's what we've been able to do this past year. And I feel so lucky every single day. I've met such amazing people. I have heard such great things from people watching the show. And I just am so honored to be able to do this every day for the past year. I can't believe it's been a year. I cannot. What a year this has been for me personally, professionally. And I just thank everyone who watches, all the guests who have been on. Oh, I can't. So I want to do a couple statistics over the last year, so you all know. And for people making shows like this and podcasts like this, like what has been happening around here. Like I said, this is episode 251, so we've done 250 episodes. And I want to show you, these are all the platforms we put them on. Some we've started at different stages throughout the last year, but this is where we get most of our views. Ready? And we're going to go from the bottom to the top. So, over the last 250 episodes, as of the recording of this, on podcast platforms, we've had 1,117 listens. That's not so good. YouTube, 5,496 views. Instagram, which we started later, 13,986. The Make Your Day Richer Facebook page, 76,953 views. My personal, like if you're friends with me on Facebook, 93,078, which is really annoying, Facebook, that you're taking away live videos, because we still get views of old shows, which is very, very disappointing that those are going away. I'm just throwing that out there. They're going away after 30 days. And that's not helpful. Okay. And our biggest platform, shockingly, which I did not start out doing this, is LinkedIn. 227,732. Over half of our views come from LinkedIn, with a grand total, as of the recording of this, in 250 shows, 418,362 views. Now, my goal was in the year to get 500,000. That's what I wanted to say today. And so we're a little shy, and that's okay. Because I think we did really great. And I think we're doing great. And this is not even the end. I'm saying this like this is the end of our season. It's not. We have become so popular for guests. We actually have episodes through the middle of August. So we are going to go to 300 shows. So that's what? 49 more episodes, 49 more interviews, 49 more people you need to meet. And we're going to definitely hit that 500,000 mark. And then we'll see what happens. We're going to have some updates as the summer goes on what's going to happen in the fall to this show and where you can see us and what you can do and how you can interact. And it's going to be really fun. Oh, also, some of our biggest shows. Baba Sam Shelley. Over 33,000 views of that show. Come on. Nina and Ed, over 73,000 views of that show. And Scott and Susan, over 57,000 views of just those shows. So it's pretty powerful, some of these shows that are resonating with people. And I just love it. If you want to support the show so we can continue to do this every single day, buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. It's a great way. You get your name in the credits. I get to be excited. I get to buy more coffee for myself. It's a great way to help support this show. And if you have a show and you're looking for a place to record, come hang out in our studio space. You don't have to be at the carnival to do your podcast. We can create it for you, but we've got a space here for you. You can go to makeyourdayricher.com to learn more about that. Okay, I think that's all I have. I think we should celebrate. And we're going to do that with two of my favorite humans. And we're going to have some drinks, okay? And they're going to, right here, I'm going to grab them. Because Christopher, here's one of them. You can't really see it on the camera, but we're celebrating with an internationally recognized expert in Japanese spirits. Christopher Pellegrini is the author of the Shochu Handbook, a certified Shochu sommelier, a podcast host, and a business owner in both the US and Japan. Get ready to learn about a whole new world of drinks and businesses as we welcome Christopher Pellegrini and my favorite human, Tony. Let's start the show.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
All right, everyone. We're back, and we've got a party here thanks to Christopher. We've got Tony here.
Hello.
Look at the camera that way.
Oh, hello. Yes, hi.
Why don't you introduce yourselves? Christopher, we'll start with you. Christopher's been on the show, as I talked about earlier, and he's back. And so introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Thank you very much, Rich. Pleasure to be back. Thank you for welcoming me back onto the show so quickly after my first visit, but I had a little trick up my sleeve. I sent you some booze, so I think that might have greased the wheels.
He knows the way to my heart.
That's it. Noted. I am gonna make a note. Christopher Pellegrini at your service. 23-year resident of Tokyo, Japan, and I am a certified and certifiable Shochu and Awamori geek, and even wrote a book about it, the Shochu Handbook. I have a couple of companies that are now involved in getting Japan's best kept secrets, these drinks, out of Japan and into the hands of audiences around the world. And my main focus right now is brainwashing folks in the United States. So thank you for having me on, and let the programming commence.
All right. And your first victim of brainwashing is right here. Tony, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm just your average guy, and I'm here just trying the drinks out, and yeah, I'm your average consumer. So.
And he's already learned something, because tell everybody what you asked Christopher before about these.
This is not sake. I asked if this was sake. These are actually spirits. And so, yeah, again, average person who just lives in the States and would potentially drink these drinks.
There you go. So really I want this to be for everybody watching is learning about these, learning ways you can use these. I feel like here in the States, drinking is really around just getting drunk. Like, we pretend that it's socializing, but it is really like, let's all go to, maybe that's just because where I grew up in Wisconsin, but these are drinks to actually socialize with and have an enjoyable time with. So I'm excited to learn about them.
The Wisconsin reference right there just gave everybody a lot of context. So as a Vermonter, I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits here. No pun intended, but yes, these are sipping drinks. These are not shooters. Let's just
so we
get that
only
out
have little
glasses.
Right, these are not full-size red Solo cups to drink these. It is 10 a.m.
And nobody will be dunking. Well, for you it is. It's 1:38 a.m. over here in Tokyo.
Oh my God. All right, where would you like to start?
So, if you don't mind, I'd just love to give a very quick rundown as to what shochu and, another word, awamori are and are not. And shochu, spelled S-H-O-C-H-U, is not soju. It's not a spirit from Korea. It is Japan's indigenous spirit. It's also the most complex and diverse spirit category in the world. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's pretty crazy. It can be made from 53 approved ingredients. No additives are ever allowed, so it's incredibly pure. and it is single pot distilled. And that sounds like a bunch of jargon, but what that basically means, and this is quite rare in the world of spirits, but it means that shochu and awamori retain the flavors and aromas from the fermentation better than just about any other spirit in the world. They keep the fermentation intact in the spirit. Whereas if you look at the other extreme, which is a vodka, the idea is to create something that's incredibly neutral, something that is going to be just the backbone of some of the most common cocktails that we imbibe today. But shochus and awamori are not designed to do that. They're designed to keep their character. They're designed to be very expressive, and we're going to find that out today. So two things I just said, very rare things to be interested in, I believe. No additives ever allowed, and single pot distilled. This results in a little bit less alcohol in the drinks themselves, but way more flavor and aroma than you'll be accustomed to. So that's going to be a nice voyage of discovery for today. So where I want to start right now is on the audience's right, your left, with the clear bottle right there. I said before that shochu can be made from 53 approved ingredients. So it is infinitely diverse. I mean, there's a shochu for everyone. And we're going to start at a very familiar place. This is a brand called Shigemasu. And Shigemasu is a 30.5% ABV spirit. These are all spirits, all right? 30.5% ABV spirit that is made from sake lees. So if you're a fan of the ginjo aroma, basically the fruit and flower, the melon, the bubblegum, the green apple, pineapple, all of these bright flavors from a good daiginjo sake fermentation. One of the older styles of shochu is using the lees from that fermentation and distilling them, and then you get this very dry representation of that beautiful daiginjo sake ferment. So if you put your nose in this cup, you're going to get all sorts of pineapple and a little bit of a black licorice vibe, and a bunch of other fruit and flower that will remind you of a sake, but it's not a sake. It is basically a purified sake. So let's take a sip of this one. I actually have the Japanese version of the label here, the expression. You'll notice that the labels are almost identical. And I love this. I mean, I am in deep smit with this brand. And go ahead, put your nose in it and tell me what you get.
Definitely grape.
Yeah, I smell a lot of citrus.
Okay.
Is that
Bubble gum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bubble gum is there. Yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Do you get that?
sweetness?
Do you get that black licorice note to it a little bit at all?
Yeah.
A little bit of an aniseed thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like very deep, deep in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take a little sip of it.
Stop smelling it.
Make sure to aerate it a little bit when you sip it in. You've seen wine drinkers do this. This is very smart. Make sure your jaw is not up in the air because you're going to choke. Jaw down, take a little bit of liquid into your mouth, and then pull air through it because it's going to aerate it, and it pulls your nose into the equation, which is what most of your tasting anyway. So let's try that.
Okay.
And then down the hatch. And
Wow.
this is a fun one. Now, where this is going to really take hold in America, and I believe shochu is really going to go through the gateway of the barkeeper. Bartenders are really excited about getting this into various martinis. You've heard of the sake tini before. This is going to make it a lot easier. And all of that fruit and flower with a bright, cold expression is going to be beautiful, especially on a spring or a summer day. So
It doesn't make my nose curl.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Sipping spirits straight is not for the faint of heart. So you guys are definitely you're being very brave here, and I commend you for that. But the nice thing about shochu in general, and this is not true for every single expression, but they tend to be a little bit more mid-weight in terms of the amount of alcohol that's contained. And this is not for any other reason than the fact that years and years ago, the tax man, put a limit on any shochu that was bottled at this ABV or below was this tax rate, and anything above was that tax rate. So everybody diluted down to below that threshold in order to make the product affordable for the common person in Japan. And this is decades ago.
Interesting.
And so that's why primarily most shochu is bottled between 25 and 30% ABV. This one happens to be 30.5%, mostly because it just tastes better that way. Now, this is going to kind of blow your mind here, but as we move on to the second contestant, this is called Mugi Hokka. And make sure that you keep the bottles. Actually, you know what? The cups will be very easy to identify because the drinks are so different. They're all water. They're clear as water, but they're very, very different. So if you pour a little bit of the second bottle, Mugi Hokka, and this is a lower ABV, 25%, which is stock standard for Japan. But it's a roasted barley shochu. So we're going from sake lees. We're going from what was originally a rice fermentation. Now we're 100% barley, and this is roasted barley. And this is just going to jump out of the cup at you. We call this thing French breakfast. Go ahead and take a sniff of this roasted barley shochu, completely different.
Do you still sniff it, or?
Oh yeah, smell it first.
Oh,
Definitely
yeah.
enjoy
Okay,
those
okay.
aromas. Very roasty, toasty French breakfast. This is basically toasted bread, espresso, and cacao.
Oh God.
The only thing that's missing is a cigarette, honestly, for it to be a true French breakfast. But it's very, very rich and very just like roasty, toasty, bready. And this is screaming espresso martini.
Okay.
Again,
love that.
My heart.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take a sip, enjoy it. What do you think? This is Mugi Hokka.
Oh,
Wow.
so different than it smells.
Yeah.
Like it smells kind of like it would be a little harsh.
I can feel that
But-
barley. Definitely the barley. I can
Yeah,
taste
but
that.
it's very nice.
Because it works so well in coffee cocktails, our best-selling product. It's
my favorite.
it's in
Mhm.
espresso martini riff in Death and Company. Jeez, it's all over the country. People like it because number one, even though it's lower ABV, it has opinions, I guess is what we'll say.
Mhm.
It doesn't shy
Mhm.
away from the other liqueurs and spirits that are in an espresso martini. And at the same time, because it's lower ABV, that's a nice thing sometimes. And then number two, it's also incredibly low calorie. Shochu has no additives, it's lower ABV. And so naturally, this is not a marketing thing at all. It's just the tax people decided on the ABV. So it just naturally evolved in that way, where shochu is a dinner drink. It's consumed with a meal. It is kind of like a wine in that
Yeah.
sense. There's a lot of dilution. That you guys are tasting these in a very professional manner. You are
That's
trying
why
them
we have nice
neat.
jackets on.
That's it. I was gonna make the exact same comment. You guys are definitely dressed for success, and you have the little red solo cups to prove it. So,
Yeah, just to keep us humble.
Yeah. Grounding.
Yeah.
obviously this is the preferred way to enjoy these things, but honestly, the normal folks here in Japan, everybody, and I'm talking everybody, sips it with some sort of dilution. It's either on the rocks or it's in a highball very commonly. So you've got the spirit, sparkling water, and ice. And now, especially in the United States, more so than in Japan, you have a lot of cocktail mixing. So I said before, espresso martini. There's also, I just saw a recipe float across Instagram where this specific barley shochu is in an Alaska riff, which is kind of another martini tangential style. It's an unsung hero of the martini family, in my opinion. at the Ritz-Carlton in New York City, the lobby bar has it in a Negroni. It's like a toasty Negroni. So
Wow.
there's a lot of creativity that's basically on its way right now. And I'm very, very grateful to be here with your audience, Rich, because your fans and your friends are going to be some of the first people to hear about these things before shochu explodes in the United States like it has in Japan. To give you a little bit more context, shochu actually outsells sake here in Japan. It's
Wow.
sells way more. It's night and day. If you want to know what folks are actually drinking at lunch and dinner, well, you got some of it right in front of you. And there's an immense amount of production here. There's a lot of untapped capacity. And I really do believe it could take 3 years, it could take 5, it could take 10. But at some point, it's going to reach that tipping point, and you're just going to see shochu everywhere. It's just going to be on the back bar pretty much everywhere you go. And that's basically what I'm aiming for. I believe that this is Japan's best kept secret, but I also believe that it shouldn't be that way. I really hope it won't be. So I appreciate you letting me come on here and brainwash both of you.
Listen, I'm not mad about it. This is a high contender. My drink of choice is gin, and this might overtake that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one more that's going to also give it a run
Fine.
for its money. But
Okay.
before we get there, let's move on to kana. And kana, again, is completely different. Incidentally, any bottle from our particular portfolio, a little bit more backstory. I co-founded an import company based in New York called Honkaku Spirits. Actually, if you look behind me, that's our little apron right there, Honkaku Spirits. And we bring in a bunch of nerdy Japanese things. These are, full disclosure, my friends. They make these beautiful drinks and I want to support them. And these are the things that I drink at home and I have for 23 years. And so I wanted to use my friends' drinks to introduce the rest of the world to this amazing part of Japanese gustatory culture. And kana, it just happens to be one of our brands that is made by not a boy. And so that's not common. I probably don't even need to tell you that. But to honor the amount of determination of the young woman who makes this brand, we put this neckline on it. And that represents the neckline of a kimono, a traditional Japanese gown. And so anything from our portfolio that has a neckline, you know that it was made by a woman. And we have a few different female-led distilleries in our portfolio, and this was not, we didn't go looking for them. These have just been friends of mine for decades. And interestingly enough, when we first decided to start this whole project of bringing really small-scale batch distilled shochu and awamori to the United States, it wasn't the guys, the male-led distilleries that jumped first. It actually was the women. They were just like, you guys are crazy. Who knows? This might work. I want to be involved. And so, they were some of our first brands, were the ones with the neckline. So we're very, very appreciative of them. And I'm very excited for you to try kana. Now, kana is a kokuto sugar shochu. This is Japan's indigenous dark sugar style. Basically unrefined sugar. You may have heard of jaggery or pironcillo, some of these demerara, these amazing dark sugar traditions from around the world. Japan has one too, and it's called kokuto. And it's basically unrefined dark sugar made in the southern islands of Japan. And in Amami, the Amami Islands, they're allowed to make, by Japanese tax law again, they are the only ones allowed to make a shochu from it. And this is a lightly barrel-aged kokuto sugar shochu called kana. So when you put your nose in this one, you're going to get very, very light kind of rum notes, like dark rum notes, a little bit of barrel, a little bit of caramel, definitely dark sugar, a little bit of a minerality and grassiness from the cane. But it's this one, we might have even started with it because it's a very light, very easy to understand style, and people in the States tend to like rum. So I believe that this is going to have a lot of fans. What do you get from the nose on this?
Definitely rum.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of a bar in Chicago once because of rum, so we'll see what's about to happen.
Well, it might
Yeah,
need
I
an
can
early
smell
lunch
sugar,
break.
definite sugar.
Yeah.
This one is 30%
Mm.
ABV, and
Wow.
you're gonna get
Wow.
a little bit of that vanilla, a little bit of that cherry from the cask, but it's not
Mhm.
overbearing. It is quite it's a little understated, to be quite fair. Really, the grassiness and the minerality of the cane comes through. Kana itself actually is named after, this is not a super happy story, but it's named after the island wife of the last samurai, the legit last samurai. Not Tom Cruise last samurai, but like the real last samurai. And this is a gentleman who was exiled to the Amami Islands. He married a woman there, and then when he made good with the guys who kicked him out, he left and left her there. She became a folk hero, though, because he went on to overthrow the feudalistic Japanese government. You may have been watching Shogun. I don't know if you're watching that at all. There's very, very strong tie-ins here. And Kana is this folk hero because she was the island wife of Saigo Takamori when he was exiled in Amami. And so it's very much a story of respect. Now, the young woman who makes this brand, her name is Serena Nishihira, and she's actually a musician. She's got music on Spotify, which I would recommend that you look up. So she never wanted to get into distilling. You know, her family ran this old distillery, but she was in Tokyo pursuing a record deal. And her dad got sick. She rushed home. She helped out. And then a couple years later, she's the president and CEO of the distillery.
Wow.
Youngest master brewer distiller in the industry, and she's kicking ass. Honestly, she's a force of nature. Absolutely, I've known her since she was just out of college, and I did not think she was going to get into distilling, but she's doing an amazing job. You'll notice on the back of the label, sorry, you'll notice some concert hands there, like.
Oh,
yeah.
You see that right up in the corners?
Yeah.
A little tribute to the fact that she has this amazing talent on the side that she doesn't talk about so much, but she does play her music. In fact, she her parents felt so guilty when she came back to help the family and actually took over the family business that they turned one of the warehouses right next to the distillery into a rehearsal and performance space. They cleared out all of the barrels of aging shochu, or most of them anyway. They left just the long walls with the barrels up against them. And they put a stage on one end and they put a sound booth in the back. And the distillery band, everybody in the distillery plays an instrument. There's a distillery band and they play and they rehearse in this space. And so she jokes that Kana is actually sonically aged because it listens to her play music all the time. And
I can taste
the
music in
local,
this.
I love that. The local folks come out to listen. They do concerts, and her parents also made a bar on the second floor. So when they're done, they all go upstairs. They drink Kana and other brands that the distillery makes, and they dance. They sing and they dance. And so this is a celebration of Amamian culture and something that's very close to my heart. I hope you
I
enjoyed
love
it.
all the like detail and story behind the labels and like the thought that goes into creating everything about this is so cool.
I'm massively biased. These are my friends, so I have a very, very strong reason to. But I care. So there's that. I don't know. I'm not a. I wasn't put up to this by a marketing agency or anything. And I like to think that there's not a ingenuous bone in my body, but I do care about these folks, the folks behind them, and I would love for them to be able to hand the distillery off to the next generation. And these distilleries are old. I mean, the first one we tasted, do you know when that thing was established?
I'm trying to look in the
1717. So these are multi-generational family businesses. And
Wow.
they are as successful right now as the rest of the world chooses to make them. And I really hope that people understand the quality, the attention to detail, and just like how much fun this is. It's really fun to be on the bleeding edge of something that nobody knows anything about, but is so huge in Japan, right? Can you imagine, like, basically what we're getting is we're rediscovering, this is the beginning of when sake became a thing overseas, except for it's maybe bigger than that. And nobody really knows about it. So this is, for me, intensely exciting, as I'm sure you can tell. And I'm very happy that you guys seem to be enjoying it. The last thing we're going to taste, we're going to go back in time a little bit. Shochu has an auntie. Shochu, there's a slightly older spirit, Japan's first spirit, honestly. It's called awamori, and this is spelled Awamori. And it's always made from rice, and it's really only made in the Okinawan archipelago. So as far southwest in Japan as you can go before you hit Taiwan. And they were a seafaring culture. They were kind of Japan's back door to international trade because Japan was closed off, and the Okinawan Islands, which used to be known as Ryukyu, weren't actually part of Japan until, after the war. And so this was the place where a lot of stuff from around Southeast Asia entered the general territory, or Japan's kind of back hatch to world trade. And one of those things was distillation. You may have studied it in high school, but it's the simple process of purifying things and basically separating things in solution or from solution. And so you can take a beer and turn it into whiskey. You can take a wine and turn it into brandy. You can take a rice beer and turn it into awamori, essentially. And so this is an awamori, and this is our heaviest hitter of the bunch. And this is also the most interesting thing, I think, in our portfolio, and one of our most popular products with bartenders. And you said you like gin. This is very expensive. It's not a gin. There's no juniper in here. No juniper was harmed in the production of this spirit, I promise you. But it is an absolute shapeshifter on the palate. I give this to people in a dark glass, and they think it's a new make whiskey when they first taste it because it's so weird. It's going to start out on the palate. Wait, let me back up. Most awamori, the average awamori is 30% ABV. When you sip it, it's going to be very mineral forward, vegetal, mushroomy, little funk. And in Okinawa, they're going to cut it 50-50 with mineral water, poured over ice so that it brings it down to 15% ABV, kind of like a wine. And they'll drink it with food, and they'll drink a lot of it with food. And the minerality, the vegetal notes pair really well with a variety of different dishes. This is not that. This really is very different. This is a very unique product from the Okinawan Islands, a distillery called Chuko. And it is a shapeshifter on the palate. It's not 30%, it's 43% ABV. So this is like a more Western level spirit. It's going to start out like a new make whiskey, like an unoaked whiskey when it's first born off the still. And then it's going to zag on your tongue. It's going to like, just kidding. How about some really rich, like green fruit from the Okinawan Islands, like those fat green pears and green apples. And then it's going to change directions on you again. And at the back, it's going to get smoky, like a sesame note. It's wild. It's like, it's really young. It's not really aged. And like a youngster, it doesn't know what it wants to be. So it tries to be everything all at the same time. It's one of my favorite things. It's called Yoka Koji. And I don't know if you're going to love it, but bartenders adore it. And it goes into all sorts of funky drinks, often as a gin replacement, quite honestly.
Yeah, I could totally get that.
Yeah, I'm a whiskey fan, and yeah, this totally goes whiskey at first, and I can taste the change immediately, which is great.
the ways that I use it at home anyway, I think I might have posted about this recently. I love a Martinez, not a martini, a Martinez, which is older than a martini and honestly should be more famous than the martini, but the martini really took off and the Martinez did not. But instead of using gin in my Martinez, I'll use this. And then the rest of the recipe, the Luxardo, the maraschino cherry liqueur and everything, I just leave the same. The vermouth is the same too. And it's so good. It's way better than it needs to be. When I was in Atlanta, I went to, where was it? I went to the Consulate in Atlanta, which is the name of a very good restaurant and bar. And they were using it in their old fashioned for a while. And that was way better than it needed to be. I was shocked by how good that was. So this is it's a very useful tool in a bartender's toolkit, and honestly, a home bartender's toolkit as well. You can use it in so many different ways, whether it's as a rye replacement, a mezcal replacement, a gin replacement, obviously a vodka replacement. This is a vodka on steroids, just has so much more flavor. Or, even rum sometimes. So you've got a lot of different ways that you can sort of put your own little bent on whatever cocktail is popular at the time. And I feel like Yoka Koji is kind of our ticket to getting onto a lot of cocktail menus moving forward.
I know you talked about like the popularity slowly growing. What about the availability? Like, how do people get more of this?
I think, well, it depends on the state you live in, and that's the fun thing about America's relationship with alcohol is very interesting. And when it comes to spirits, it's actually positively annoying. So it really depends on where you're based. If you happen to be in a market that doesn't have franchise laws, or I'm not even going to get into it. How about try this first? There's an online shop there's a shop. It's actually a brick and mortar, but they have an online shop called Umami Mart, UMAMI MART. And they ship to a lot of states. And they have pretty much everything. And everything we carry, and then so much more. It's a really good go-to place for Japanese kitchenware, Japanese barware, and basically everything from of course shochu and sake to Japanese beer, Japanese whiskey, and Japanese sake as well. Gin too. Everything that's cool from Japan that they can get their hands on, they have it. And much of it is online. Also online is something that's really, this is the only one that I've ever seen around the world. I don't even know if anybody has this in Japan. They have a shochu club, and quarterly, if you sign up for this club, they will send you 2 bottles of shochu from whatever they're promoting at that time, a whole bunch of literature, and then they often have seminars and things to teach you about them and to drink through them. And sometimes I think they even get the makers on to talk about the drink. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a stellar birthday present, if you ask me, for somebody who is interested in spirits or interested in Japan or interested in travel, for that matter.
Yeah. What about you? What's the best way that people can connect with you?
I'm very, very available. If you look me up, Christopher Pellegrini, I'm all over the place. Instagram is a very easy way to get a hold of me via DM. I'll tell you one thing that's happening quite a lot is folks are, wherever they happen to be in the world, are taking a photo of the shochu section of a menu and sending it to me. And they're like, I know you're not going to see this, but if you do within the next 15 minutes, what should I get? And oftentimes I do see it, and I'll just be like, okay, try the first one on the rocks, or try the last one with sparkling water, and tell me how it goes. Take a photo, please. And what I want to say to people is, like, when you are experiencing these things, just tag me, because I love to interact on, and honestly, it's for my own edification. I'm learning how these drinks are being enjoyed around the world, and there's nothing that I really get into more. So anyways, Instagram's easy. And I do have my own website called ChristopherPellegrini.com, where I try to put up educational content, and I have a newsletter that I put out. But if you really want to geek out, then that's another way to get a hold of me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sending these, for talking us through these, and for really like opening everyone's eyes to something new and different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I
New
really
to us,
appreciate the
not
time.
new to the world, obviously, but
Well, you know what? You now know more about these drinks from Japan than about 99% of people who live in this in Japan. It's everywhere, and yet everybody takes it for granted. They don't really know what it is, how it's different. Like, for instance, the last bottle you tasted, the awamori. Most people in Tokyo assume that awamori is made from cane because Okinawa is famous for cane, but it never is. It's not allowed. It's actually protected internationally by the WTO, just like Scotch and like Burgundy are, as Ryukyu Awamori. It can only ever be made from rice, and that's how it's always been. It's been that way for
wow.
over 500 years.
There's also a test now that the show is over on what we learned today. So if you go to makeyourdayricher.com, do the test and win a bottle. I don't know. Christopher, thank you so much for being here.
Cheers. I appreciate you, Rich, and thank you so much for joining us, Tony. I hope you both enjoyed the spirits that you tried this morning.
This was great.
I'm going to sneak one thing in. As your average drinker, look for these. These are great.
What do you have a favorite?
I'm a fan of this one. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think mine's this one.
Kana, yeah.
Yeah.
Kana and Yoka Koji, the two winners. Breakfast of Champions. You heard it here first.
There you go. Take a break and be right back after this. Don't go away. Thank you so much. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. That's our show, everyone. Happy 1 year anniversary to us. Thank you again so much for watching this show. As much as and as often as you do. That was a good time to just share the show and be like, oh my gosh, Richard made it a whole year. Look, let's get some Japanese spirits and have a drink night and maybe play some games. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, that's it. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you. Bye-bye.